It's the summer. Everyone's a little punchy right now. Call to order the meeting of the Salem School Committee of August 18th, 2025. This meeting is taking place in 29 Highland Avenue, room 227 in Salem. You can also join via Zoom using the link posted in the meeting agenda. The first item on our agenda is approval of the agenda.
A motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? The matter carries unanimous. Public comment. The Salem School Committee would like to hear from the public on issues that affect the school district and are within the scope of the committee's responsibilities. Spanish interpretation is available for anyone who needs it. The members of the school committee would like to remind the public that Salem Public School students regularly attend school committee meetings. We encourage all meeting participants to model respectful and productive public discourse for our young learners. Is there any public comment from the chambers? Seeing none. Is there any public comment on Zoom? All right. Move on to approval of the consent agenda. This is the minutes of the school committee meeting of July 28th, the warrants of July 30th, August 6th, August 13th, and the new fiscal year warrants of July 24th, July 31st, August 7th, and August 14th. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Under discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? The matter carries unanimous. Assuming there's no student representative report. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, Mayor. Welcome back to the start of the upcoming school year. We're excited that next week, believe it or not, we welcome students back, starting with Carleton on Wednesday and ninth graders at Salem Prep and Salem High, and then everybody else except for pre-K and kindergarten start next Thursday, the 28th. So looking forward. Today we had new teachers back in the district and had a good session with them, and slowly others are coming back until we welcome all teachers back next Monday when we have our convocation. So we just have a brief presentation to share with you about back to school updates like we do every year, just to give you a sense of what to expect. What we're sharing tonight are really just highlights of what's new and different for the upcoming school year, what parents, what staff, and what students can expect for the upcoming school year. So I'm just going to start and then pass it over to members of my team. Okay, so let's see. There we go. So again, we're now moving, the committee should be aware because this is an important year. It's the third year of our strategic plan. So our priorities remain the same, but we will be looking to re-up or rethink our strategic plan for the next iteration. But our priorities going into this year remain the same as I gave, as I shared in my update over the summer or in the month of July. Okay, our work. I'm not going to strain your eyes. You don't. I just want to highlight what our work is in the three buckets that we have for the upcoming school year. The first around, I'll just quickly just update you. Our focus continues in our academic work around monitoring and lesson internalization, which involves how we prepare to address student misconceptions in the moment. Data meetings will continue. We're going to continue to use the information we have about students to make adjustments as we go. And early literacy, as all of you know, we were awarded a PRISM grant by the Department of Education to really focus on our early literacy work, which has been a place we feel stuck a little bit as a system. You'll see a lot of, we'll be sharing throughout the year updates on that work. Around empowering educators, the amount of and quality of feedback is something we got to continue to get better at, not just the amount, but making sure that it's meaningful and useful for teachers, ensuring that staff have input in professional learning. And then as we talked about in the last meeting, the recruitment and retention of educators. Very pleased that we have less turnover. It appears that we have, well, not appears, we had the fewest group of new teachers that we've had probably in over a decade, which is actually really good news. Because we're as stable, and we've talked about what those reasons are. But schools are putting in their school improvement plans very clear action steps around recruiting and retaining, especially staff of color. And then finally, around centering belonging, we're going to continue to focus on absenteeism, explicit social emotional learning, and then we've added a goal for schools around post-secondary planning for both middle school and high school. They have goals in terms of students having a post-secondary plan And so you'll see that in the school improvement plans this year. Our theme for this upcoming school year is I Am Somebody. And this was an excerpt from one of our students, Laika Lewis, who read this during the summer solstice day that they had as seniors were leaving. And this, she really talked about, I think I shared it with the school committee, but I just want to point out these words, especially the end. You are here because you are powerful. You are here because you are brilliant. You are here because you deserve to be. And that's our theme for this year. Our students are on the, there's greatness within our students, and we have to cultivate the platform for that to happen in all of our classrooms. We're committed to making sure, we talked about this with new teachers today, our students are capable of more than we think they are. They can do hard things, and we can push them to greatness if we create the conditions to do so across every one of our schools. And along those same lines, this is, for me, an important quote that we shared with our leadership retreat for school leaders. If a classroom does not operate as if the young people in it were capable of greatness, it will never be a just classroom. But operating as if young people are capable of greatness does not mean pandering. It means loving young people enough to push them with warmth, grace, and humanity to work harder than they may be inclined to. And I think that sums up how we plan on entering the year. We want our students to realize the potential we know they have, and they tell us, if you ask kids, they'll remember the teachers who got the most out of them. And that's what we hope to do as we head into the upcoming school year. At this point, I'll turn it over to Deputy Superintendent Kate Carboni, who's going to give you updates from her team.
I'm actually going to do just one slide, and then I'm going to turn it over to my team,
Okay.
who is actually in the house. No need for me to do that. So I do want to just, a couple of things that I do think the committee is aware of, but want to be able to share with the public, that we did start, as the superintendent said, the summer off with our 2-day Summer Leadership Institute, which was really wonderful. We had all of our principals, assistant principals, our team chairs, which constitute our school leadership teams. We had all our instructional coaches from across schools. They're part of their school leadership teams as well. And then central office, both on the finance and operations side, as well as the teaching and learning leaders. So it was quite a room full of leaders, and it was a great opportunity for us to reflect on the impact of our collective work and the outcomes of the year that just closed. So we met for 2 days in that last week of June, and we were able to, the superintendent did sort of a state of the schools, and we were able to celebrate where we were knocking it out of the park. It's important to be able to celebrate, but also identifying where we need to dig deeper and where our opportunities still lie. We did galvanize around the priorities that the superintendent just mentioned, and we worked in differentiated teams to make sure that the content was really specific to the leaders in the room. I do want to elevate one thing that I think really made this year's Leadership Institute stand apart from others. We took a bold step this year and embedded our learning in homegrown case studies. So we elevated the practice of 2 teachers, so Karen Tucker from Collins, and also Sandra Castillo. And at the end of the year, we followed them around. We had a video group that took some video of them and their students. Were able to interview them, and we were able to use their classrooms and their teaching and learning and practice and what the kids were experiencing in their classrooms as the sort of learning entry points for our leadership team. And we really were pushed by our staff to do that when we use examples from charter schools or other schools, they don't resonate. And so I would say it was very, very powerful. So I just wanted to elevate that. I think everyone knows that we got the CPPI grant, so we apply there. This is the Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative grant. The 3-year grant ran its course. It was reissued as a new grant. We applied for the full amount, which in our case, we were able to apply up to $1 million. We, of course, applied for that full amount, and we received word about a week and a half ago that our full grant was approved. And I just listed on the slide some of the things that we're going to use that grant for. I do want to mention a couple of other things related to grants. I think everyone knows that the entitlement grants were held up over the summer, but those grant applications were finally released about a week or so ago, and we've been working on our application. Our application's ready to go. Elizabeth and I are meeting tomorrow to get that ready to go into the system for approval. So we're feeling much better about things on that front. There are a couple of things that we have our eyes on. I won't say that we're worried, but we're definitely watching. One relates to the 21st Century Grants, which fund many of our after-school and enrichment activities. And one of the areas that we're watching is the Collins Middle School grant is up for renewal. We've been told that the other grants that are in process are, pretty stable, but we haven't heard a word about the renewal grant that supports our partnership with LEAP. I met with Linda Saris and her team last week to talk a little bit about this and, what we would do in case there, anything were to happen with that grant. So we're watching that closely, and we'll let you know if anything arises with that. Superintendent also mentioned that we were grantees of the PRISM grant. We applied for and were awarded in excess, it was slightly over $800,000, but we were asked to revise that budget down to about 30%. So we received only about 30% of the original grant award, which was slightly over $200,000. We've been told by DESE that we should get the full rest of the award sometime late in October, but again, that's something we're watching. I never like to say, the check's in the mail. We like to have the check in hand. So we'll let you know what, if anything, materializes there. Oops, and sorry, went too fast there. And Sonia Lowe, our new Executive Director.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
To talk about what's on deck for academics.
Absolutely. So as Kate mentioned, we had a wonderful Summer Leadership Institute for 2 days at the end of June. That's where we launched a focus on lesson internalization, which is really a fancy term for really deeply knowing the lesson that you're about to teach students, both from the content perspective, the instructional practices that you use, and then really tailoring that lesson to meet the needs of students in your classes. We have a lot of high quality instructional materials in our schools, and it's really about maximizing those to the fullest potential so that students see themselves in that curriculum and can participate in it to their fullest potential. So that's really what we focused on with principals and coaches. Connected to that is the idea of academic monitoring, so the idea of really paying attention to learning while it's happening in school. So if you know the lesson, you know what you're expecting to see from students, you're able to circulate and uncover misconceptions as they're happening and have a plan to address them. So very excited for this real commitment to high quality instruction in our classrooms. It really just builds off of the work that our educators are already doing. I won't say a ton about PRISM, but we are really excited for year 2 of the PRISM grant. The goal of that really is 80% of students to be proficient in foundational skills by 2029. It's a really ambitious goal and one that's essential for our students and I guess our future, yeah. Through that, we'll be deepening expertise in foundational skills instruction. It's a small part of the literacy block for educators, but a really, really important and critical part. And we'll be doing that through our partnership with TNTP, which is sponsored by the PRISM grant. Finally, this is really exciting, and I know my colleague Mark will also talk about this from the technical perspective. We're launching Jump Rope, which is our new grading platform in pre-K through 8 and at Salem Prep High School. We're excited. It's a really, really slick platform, very accessible to families on mobile devices, et cetera. And ultimately, it really makes success criteria very, very transparent and clear to students and to teachers so that we can engage students in conversations about the work that they're producing. It's an excellent tool for reflection and goal setting, and we're really excited to have that roll out in classrooms this fall.
Thanks, Sonia. What am I doing? Where's the computer? Where is the computer that is, oh, is it over there?
There we go. All right.
Now I went too far.
Into the wrong computer.
Oh,
All
okay, there we
right.
go.
In special education, this summer we're really busy. We're working a lot on strengthening our pipeline of teachers and leaders, and also working on strengthening our program. So the first thing I want to talk about is our student to paraprofessional and paraprofessional to teacher and teacher to leader pipeline. This summer we employed 5 Salem High School students that worked as paraprofessionals in our special ed programs, and we also had 6 college students that worked in our summer program to get experience working with children and possibly thinking about either a teaching career or something in human and health services. We also have our first para to teacher apprenticeship program starting this fall through the RTAP program. We were awarded that. We have 3 paraprofessionals that will be working hand in hand with a mentor teacher, learning how to be a special education teacher. And over 2 years, they'll be working on their licensure. We also started our first teacher leader opportunity this summer. We had 2 special ed teachers that want to be special ed administrators, so they worked as summer leaders under one of our summer directors. So they worked on that. And also during the school year, we have our teacher leaders for different programs and for different program strands throughout the district. We also are expanding our language-based disabilities program at Saltonstall, Collins, and the high school to address the needs of our growing population. And also this year, we're going to have greater support for our youngest learners. So last year, we did a few citywide screenings for children that are 3 to 5. That's looking to see children's readiness skills for preschool or kindergarten. Also looking at possibility of identifying students that may need a special ed referral. So we did a few of them last year, and this year we are going to do 3 citywide screenings, also with our partners as well. And from that, we identify students that could use more time on intervention using school readiness intervention groups. So we had one last year that was very successful, and we were able to help kids get ready for preschool or for kindergarten. And this year, we're going to be doing it 3 times.
And that's supported through the CPPI grant, just to make the connection there. All right, student supports. Ellen Wingard.
Hi there. All right, so to highlight some of the things that we are doing this year, Kate mentioned earlier that we will be elevating, once again, explicit SEL instruction, really empowering our teachers to be able to teach kids specific SEL skills so that they have agency and autonomy in their learning. To measure our progress around that, we're going to be checking in with kids monthly, doing what we're calling sort of pulse checks about how they feel like they're learning through SEL and also how they're feeling about belonging. So I think there was a question in our last committee meeting around, kids and their sense of belonging. And so having monthly pulse checks this year, which is new, will allow us to be able to be more nimble throughout the year and responding to the data. Checking in on belonging at the beginning of the year and end of the year feels a little like not enough information for us to be able to act on it. And we're going to continue to build our restorative practices, moving from building community to making sure that we're repairing harm in a restorative way. This summer, we welcomed Taylor McDonald into the Student Support Department, and so we'll be helping to support her work with out-of-school time programming. So she's really looking at this year, making sure there's vertical alignment with our out-of-school time programming, which I think you've probably heard about before. You've also been witness to our Youth Voice projects, and so we want to make sure that those projects not only get done, but they are followed through within the schools and their voice is really enacted. And then Taylor's really interested in making sure that the pre-K after-school program is tied, the programming is tied to what kids are learning in school, and so looking at both the social, emotional, and academic standards that kids are learning in their pre-K school day are carried into the after-school, so they're reinforced. And then finally, for attendance, we're really proud of our schools for impacting chronic absenteeism over the last couple of years. So we're going to double down on making sure we're doing some good quality early intervention, so really helping support families quickly when we see things go off track. And then on the other end of that, we'll be working with our attendance coalition, our community partners, probation, DCF, courts, to be able to build what we're calling a truancy panel. And this is a formal yet informal way of helping to support families prior to filing a formal CRA with the courts, a child requiring assistance. And so we're hoping to get that up and running by January, but it'll take a little bit because it will require folks from, stakeholders, community partners to be able to commit to monthly panel meetings where we invite families and services are present right there to help parents understand both the implications of a CRA, but also that we want to be able to support them with whatever barriers are in the way. So that's what's on the horizon.
IT.
All right. Summer is a very busy time for technology. We have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of deferred maintenance and different things that we just can't do during the school year. But some new things that we have coming. We have new applications. Sonia had mentioned earlier Jump Rope Gradebook, which we've been working on configuring with all the standards and grading criterias and all the things that go along with that, as well as developing training. We also have 2 additional products in the Power School family. One for professional learning and one called Perform, and they are basically for teacher evaluation and for professional development tracking. So we've been working this summer to build those out, build training, documentation, and videos for staff, so when they come back they'll be ready to go with those. All platforms that are upgrading old platforms that were not cutting it anymore for us. In the hardware world, we are continuing our planned replacement cycle for Chromebooks. So we have new Chromebooks in grades 2 and 3, as well as for incoming 6th graders and incoming 9th graders. We were able to install interactive displays at both Salem Prep at Carleton, replacing aging short throw projectors. We did a full inventory and repair of all Chromebooks in grades K through 8. The high school they have a 1-to-1, so we do the inventory when they return them at the end of senior year, so they keep them over the summer. And then we're also working on a refresh of the iPads for the special education department to get those all updated and ready to go for students. We have a big shift this year in Collins where we're returning to a true 1-to-1. The last few years, Collins has been a cart model where the Chromebooks are teacher managed in the classroom and don't leave, a student doesn't get their own Chromebook. We're moving back to the model of having students each get assigned a Chromebook that they will walk around the school with and then leave in school at the end of the day to hopefully build some more ownership for the students and some accountability and some, just those types of skills to manage that technology. So when they get to the high school, it's not such a big jump between levels. And we're also expanding our library and digital learning to Witchcraft and Salt Install. So now every school except Carleton will have a full-time specialist teaching library and digital skills. Thank you.
Okay. So, Phil.
Good evening. Jill Conrad, Director of Human Resources. So probably the most exciting thing, in my opinion, that we're doing right now or that's happened over the summer is that we have hired 2 teachers from the Dominican Republic here on J1 visas, and they are here. And the fact that they are here is really exciting because you may recall, there was a long pause on the visas, but it finally came through. And so they're here, they're getting settled in. They attended the new Teacher Institute today and are doing well. We are still trying to support them in finding housing. So if anyone has any leads that could potentially help with that, I'm going to put a plug out for that. The second, I don't know, these are equally exciting. Jen, my colleague Jen, mentioned the Registered Teacher Apprenticeship Program, which we are part of the pilot across the state for launching an official registered apprenticeship to lead to teaching licensure. We focused it on special education. We have selected 3 what they call journey worker teachers who are mentor teachers who will be full-time mentors to the 3 apprentices. We're still in the process of selecting the apprentices. We haven't finalized that yet, but we will very soon, and you'll hear more about that as we go. But we're very excited about both of those initiatives. We are also, in terms of sort of the overview for staffing, we have over 65 new hires in the district, 45 are teachers. That's about half of what we had last year. So we don't have as much turnover, which, as Dr. Zweig said, is great news, and allows us to kind of settle in. And I also would say that the qualifications of the new hire teachers coming in are either much more experienced or fully licensed for the roles, although we do still have a fair number of those on waivers and still working on licensure. We continue to see a high level of transfers, not necessarily from school to a different school, but to different roles, as we always do. We're getting much better at tracking that as it happens within a school than we used to a long time ago, so that's good news. And then the 30 who were reappointed, so they were teachers on a waiver last year who we've hired back. They have to be non-renewed at the end when they're on a waiver, but we have hired them back. And then the other two columns are really continuation of things that we've been working on over the past several years, which is, streamlining the onboarding process, trying to become more focused on our data systems, so that we can better use them to do analysis and make decisions. So this is just a quick overview of where we are as far as vacancies as we head into the beginning of the school year. Everything seems to be running about half where we were last year at this time, both on the new hire end and as well as the vacancies we see at this point in time. So 5 actual teaching roles. Most of those are either due to new classrooms opening up due to enrollment or last minute resignations that we weren't counting on. And then we have, as far as the paras, 4 para vacancies. 1 was just filled today, so that should come off. And we're looking for a couple of substitutes. The administrator role, I think, may be close.
Have an offer out.
Okay, so, we're gaining on it. So I would expect by the time we do open school to see, if not fully staffed, maybe just a little handful of vacancies left. So we're in a much better place to be fully staffed this year than we have seen in the past couple of years, which is great.
Yeah, I just would point out that the kindergarten opening at Witchcraft is due to enrollment. The size of this is the biggest class we've had in over 10 years for kindergarten. And so that's a good problem to have, but we did not anticipate. Every year I shouldn't say miscalculate every year, but I did miscalculate because the numbers are so much higher. There may be a potential of having to add another kindergarten depending on where the numbers fall, because we're still getting enrollments every single day, and we've closed school choice for kindergarten because the numbers have been much higher than we expected. So we have plenty of room in the schools. So, but this seems to be a little bit of a bump coming here with COVID, and hopefully that means that bodes well for enrollment in the system for the next few classes. So,
Any questions? Okay, great.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Laura Assad, Director of DEI in the district. So I wanted to just focus on a couple of areas of new happenings in the department. We've been very busy this summer with a lot of transition and staffing and trying to work through identifying better efficiencies within the district and having an opportunity to collaborate better, not just with our families, but the community, and also within departments and school principals and other leadership across the district. So for one of the areas that I wanted to continue to focus on is with our new staff. We have had a bit of transition, and I'm referring to the entire district. We have new staff. that we want to make sure that if they are interested in participating in some of the developments of affinity spaces, that they are informed about that, and also thinking about any other opportunities that may come about, whether that may be opportunities to go back to school, to obtain their associate's or bachelor's degree, so that they can tap into any other opportunities and areas of growth within the district. And then thinking about how to, through the Welcome Center, there's been a lot of transition within from being a parent information center to a Welcome Center. And what that means is we've had an opportunity to think about some parent learning opportunities and thinking of ways to make sure that our center is more than a registration office, but a hub for us to connect families to either services, whether that be through other departments and opportunities that may come from the community to offer those right out of the center. So with that, we also want to center parent voices, and we still have a survey out through Panorama that's been shared through our social medias, our newsletters. We'll be also distributing that for upcoming back to school fair next week. And then really be able to share some of those findings with members of our district in case we need to make any shifts in the ways that we support students in their learning. In terms of strengthening foundation, again, thinking about different ways for our district and schools to know what is happening, the students that are coming in, how families and students are being welcomed into our schools, what information that they can be provided as soon as they enroll, and for them to be able to learn about programs so that families can make an informed decision on where they'd like their student to attend, particularly in the elementary school level, because there are more options at that level in early childhood through 5th grade, and then also learning about high school and beyond, and a lot of those opportunities can happen right from the Welcome Center. Lastly, we want to be able to think about what we do at the Welcome Center is crucial because we are, for the most part, the first interaction that families and other members of our district have. So it's important for us to make sure that it's not just you come in, you register, you go, and then we hand you off to the schools. It's more so you're going to get connected with a nurse now. If your student does not qualify, we have student support, special education, just right up the hallway. And then also have a chance to be able to think about what does it look like to have my student be part of a particular school community. And we do that by way of having the family engagement facilitators presence there so that they can talk about the schools that they're going to be representing, and also thinking about what are the unique things that make the schools what they are so that they know what their student is walking into. And then also when they walk into the schools, they're also making that connection with the family engagement team. So all of those things, we want to be able to have that structure right from the beginning so that families know that they at least have one contact person and then grow within their networks once they become a member of that school. And then with that, thinking about continuing to build the capacity of the family engagement team, not just working out of the Welcome Center, but how are they supporting with the training of staff at the schools and building their capacity so that schools have a better way to continue to communicate with families and students. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Laura. Enrollment numbers, you can see we're up where we were at this time last year. It's always hard in August to know because although I do think we have cleaner numbers of students who are not returning than we've had in the past, but you can see every school for the last 3 years and what their numbers look like. We are, again, trending up, which is a little bit of a surprise because I thought we would struggle a little bit with with fewer newcomers coming because of, federal policies and so forth. But I will point out the places we have pain points right now, kindergarten with the number of, well, again, it's a double-edged sword, but our numbers are higher than we thought, and 6th grade looks high right now. We don't know in the end how many of them will actually show up because, so we're going to wait to see, but the classes are in the upper 20s right now in 6th grade, but that changes a lot on the first couple days of school because we wait to see who actually comes They don't always tell us if they're coming. And so largely, I think that bodes well for us, that it's still moving in the right direction. But you can see where we're at. New Liberty will be much higher enrolled than they were at this time last year. Same with Salem Prep is about where it was. And obviously, Collins is much higher because of the shift from Salts, and Salts is much lower because they lost their middle school. So that's our enrollment. We'll give you a status update, at our next meeting, and we'll obviously follow it through the month of September before October 1st, which is the big date for setting our funding for the following year. Next slide.
And I think that's me. So our facilities and grounds crews have been very busy this summer. They have so far closed 328 work orders. Those are everything from projects that the schools would have put in to our planned summer upgrades. Every school will have, by the time school starts, have had all the walls washed, the rugs shampooed, changed out the light bulbs, scrubbed, stripped, and waxed the floors. So if you get a chance to visit the high school, the floors are so shiny there. It is. We're very close to being ready. We've done a lot of painting this summer. Our staff has done touch-ups and refreshing at all of the schools, and we're doing a full repainting of Horace Mann and the first floor of Salt and Stall. So those schools will be fresh and new for the students when they arrived. We've changed all the HVAC filters, and we've made repairs to the exterior ramp to increase accessibility at Horace Mann. We also have been working on generators to make sure that we can maintain our HVAC all winter long. I included a picture of the generator that is no longer there at Bates because that generator had died. It was inside the building, and this is turning out to be a huge project. We are getting a new generator for Bates, but it will be outside. So the work underground, the electrical work, has been completed, and we're expecting the generator in the fall. We are also expecting the generator in the fall for Collins. That will be not as big a project as it has been at Bates, but still an important one. And the new generator is already installed at Witchcraft. So we had been renting a generator to make sure we could maintain power. So we're very pleased that now we'll have working generators at all of these schools. We also will be replacing the fire pump at Bates. All other schools have had fire inspections conducted, tests done, and to both their fire panels and their sprinkler systems, and we've made repairs as needed to anything that wasn't working. For play spaces, this is a picture of Bertram Field. We have been working to repair the track. We've re-poured the track that had the holes in it. We have relined the track and then rebuilt/replenished the sand pits at the track. So I think that's going to be a great experience for our student athletes. We'll have a new sound system installed at Bertram, and we're anticipating having that installed before the first home football game. So I did skip over an exciting large project, which is the pre-K and K playground, is almost complete at Bates. We are having a ribbon cutting on September 2nd, so I hope folks will come and join and see this joyful, beautiful playground that children will get to enjoy at Bates. While on the subject of playgrounds, we know that the Carlton Elementary School's playground is a city playground, the Curtis playground, that is being redone. So that will be an exciting new playground for the whole community to use. However, it does mean that it will be closed to the students at Carlton for the better part of this year anyway. We believe our students will have access to that playground until construction begins, but we don't have a clear date on when the construction will begin and so how long Carlton students will be able to use that playground. So we've worked with the principal this summer to make sure we have an alternative play space for the students in the upper grades at Carlton, who are the ones that use this Curtis playground. We've ordered some materials, including basketball hoops, cornhole, and other games that the principal identified as something that the children would like to do. We're going to cordon off the back corner of the parking lot. There's a green space, a very small green space, but a green space, and then a parking lot the corner of the parking lot that we believe can be made safe from traffic. We'll put cones up, so it will be specifically for play. We'll paint some things on the asphalt. So we think it will be an adequate second option to the Curtis Playground, and we look forward to them returning to the Curtis Playground when it's available. For the little kids, I think there's been a lot of community and parent interest in taking a hard look at the small playground that the young children at Carleton use. So for this year, we've ordered some play things that are not permanent climbing structures for the Carleton Small Playground, but will give kids activities, bikes, and games to play, that kind of thing. And we are adding the Carleton Small Playground to our rotation of playgrounds that will need to be repaired, refurbished, so that we're making sure we invest in playgrounds for our smallest children as well as our larger children. So adding that to the list, and appreciative of all the input related to the Carleton Playground. And then the last, I would say, big update on this slide is thanks to the generosity of the Commonwealth and the partnership with both the City of Salem and our legislative delegation, our state rep and our state senator, we have funds for a new gym floor at Salem High School. So the field house at Salem High School has a rubber floor that is not great for athletes. It is more likely that student athletes will injure themselves on this floor, and it doesn't allow our athletics teams to participate in or to host state tournaments. So we have this funding that will allow us to buy a portable floor. We met actually this morning with the company that's going to provide it, and they are giving us the same kind of floor that they give to the NBA. They're one of the only providers of these portable floors, so that when the field house comes down, we'll be able to take this beautiful floor and the significant investment that will be only 5 years old and move it to another school. And so we anticipate getting the full life's value out of this floor, and we look forward to our athletes playing on a beautiful new wood floor. We expect to have that in place in November. So that is moving forward. We are very excited about it, both for what it will mean for the athletes at the high school now and for the probably elementary school athletes in the future. And then looking ahead, we will continue to use Operations Hero. We really think that having a QR code and having broad access to our work order management system has made a difference in the overall cleanliness of the buildings because people are catching things quickly. We will continue our monthly walkthroughs with the school staff. Usually it's the principal and the senior custodian and the head of buildings and grounds to also strengthen the partnership and make sure we're addressing things and getting ahead of them as we can. And then also this year, we're looking to establish common cleaning standards and practices across the schools. So making sure that every school meets a common standard of what we consider to be cleanliness and what we expect for our students. So really excited about that. In food and nutrition services, we have a new menu platform. So what is exciting about this platform and this tiny picture that you can see is you'll be able to, parents, kids, anybody will be able to hover over the menu and see the nutritional information for each of the items being served. So we're really excited about that, so people can see, what will go into our school lunches. We've also set a goal for September of using 50% of our meals will be locally sourced food, because this is the time to be eating food that is locally grown and fresh. So we're excited. We're excited to start preparing our meals and to also share what's in it. We have had a practice of offering free second meals to any kid that would like to have one. We've struggled a little bit at the high school with how to manage that, because if we don't know it's the second meal, then we force the kid to take everything that was on the first plate. But at the other schools with smaller cafeterias, it's easier to know who's already been through the line. But at the high school, you could go one floor for lunch and then come down and get a second meal. and maybe you just want the entree and not all the other things, but we make you take all the other things. So we're going to have a second meal kiosk so high school students can just go almost like an a la carte system and get the thing that they want for their second meal. And if it's the full tray, great. But if it's not, they can just take what they are looking for, and that will reduce our food waste. So we're very excited about that. We look forward to continuing our successful dinner program at the high school in Collins. Just on that, we launched the dinner program at Collins on March 1st of this year, and our average daily participation was 153 meals a day. So this year, together between Collins from March to June and the high school, we served 16,152 dinners total, not every day, total. So we are looking forward to continuing that program. And underneath all of this, we'll have a new inventory process the head cooks will be using so that we make sure we are ordering smart and making sure we are minimizing food waste and food cost. We also plan to expand our farm to school program, so we'll be opening salad bars at all of the elementary schools. We'll be expanding student composting in all cafeterias. Right now, our kitchen staff all compost, and we have composting programs at Carleton, which was the leader in this, Horace Mann, and Carleton and Horace Mann. And so we'll be expanding student composting to all cafeterias. And we've had a team of Salem educators working on creating lesson plans that are aligned to the Amplify Science curriculum that incorporate the school gardens. So we'll be rolling out 8 new farm to school lesson plans this fall. Transportation. So this year, all students who ride the bus will be asked to swipe on and off. We're doing that for 2 reasons. One, it is a safety measure. We need to know where the students are, that they're on the bus, and where they got off. But also it's an attendance measure. So we'll be able to know if everybody who is rooted to a bus is riding the bus. If we have a wait list, then we'll be able to turn over seats that are not being used. So we're excited to be able to implement the Wayfinder attendance tracker. The bus passes will be available on the first day of school, and families will be notified this week about their routes. So we're finalizing those now. We sent them to NRT, our bus company, for test runs last week, and so we were waiting for the feedback today. So in the next day or 2, families will be getting their bus assignments. This is a picture, which it's a little bit hard to see, but it is a picture of the back of the bus pass. So the back of the bus pass just gives the instructions and reminders for all riders. And so we're excited to partner with families and kids to ensure we have safe travels to school. The last thing on transportation that is exciting for the year ahead is the ID. This year, Salem High School students will receive ID badges that look like this. They're not security badges. They don't unlock the doors, but they are. They will have a student picture on them, and they will be able to be used as bus pass, library card, and lunch pass. So we're excited to see how that goes at the high school, and then could potentially roll it out to the younger grades in years ahead. And last from me is a safety update. This is, in case you ever wondered what it looked like to print out the badges that you get when you come to the school. That's a picture of the system. We will be rolling out the Raptor Visitor Safe Visitor Management System across the district this year. We currently have it in place at Salem High School and at the central office, but we think this will do 2 things for us. One, it'll move us away from pen and paper, and 2, sign in and sign out for our visitors, and 2, it will help us always know who is in our building. So we'll have this at every school. And last, we plan to continue implementing the Sandy Hook Promise, which we launched this year, and through our commitment to both safety and student safety, we're going to continue that as well. So that is it from me. Dr. Zreich, I think this is you.
Yep, last slide here. Other updates. I just want to remind people, we did, at the school committee, we are changing school start and end times based on the contract negotiation last year. So we have a standard workday for teachers, which is 6 hours and 55 minutes. And we have a standard elementary day, a standard middle school day, and a standard high school day. And so that's obviously shifting the time. Some schools are going longer for kids, some are going slightly shorter. So just as a reminder, there might be some adjustments to the traffic patterns and shifts that have to do with the start and end times this year. And we are implementing before-school programs at later start schools. We got a lot of feedback from parents who have, at the elementary schools, particularly Witchcraft, Carlton, and Saltonstall, about making sure that we had like a drop-off for families that work. And we are able to do that without charging families. Some of the schools already had it, but now we have a consistent opportunity for, and Collins also offers it half an hour before school starts. It's at least a help for some families, so I just wanted to note that we're doing that. And then just a couple other exciting items is we're about to send out our first alumni newsletter that Chris has been working on. We hope to drum up connections with our alumni and keep in the loop and share stories about them. So that'll go out quarterly, Chris, is that the idea? Okay, and then we also added a donation button, which has taken a long time, but we finally got the donation button for people that want to make contributions to the Salem Public Schools. A lot of charters have that, private schools, and now we have that opportunity. And then just finally on the Salem High School building project, and this will serve as my update. Obviously, this is going to be a very busy year for the Salem High School building project. We are headed to, final design by December, so we're still iterating on that design. There'll be an update at the building meeting that we have on Thursday. We also got feedback from the MSBA that we need to respond to on our educational program. And then, as many of you know, there'll be a debt exclusion vote sometime in May, I believe, Mayor, that's coming up. And the last thing, update on the building committee, is we are in the process of selecting the construction manager for the project, or the construction firm. And I will get an update on that on Thursday. I'm not part of that subcommittee, but that is coming. And that's a big decision for the project and who will lead that work. I don't know if you want to add anything to anything that I just said.
I don't have anything to add on the high school building project, but I just wanted to open it up if any of the committee members had questions on the back-to-school update for any of the staff or team. Yep, workers.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the comprehensive overview of back-to-school activities. I had a couple questions across a few different areas. The first was around the PRISM grant and the goal. Where does the 80% goal come from? Is that
from
the
the
state? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the state's two-year goal for anyone receiving the grant is that we're all working towards the 80%. But what's the target for Salem? Does it roll into that? Is it higher? Do we get to set that? Was there any discretion, or is it
We can set the interim goals,
Okay.
and we're in the process. We've had 1 or 2 meetings with the PRISM team, so we have leadership representation, both teacher leaders as well as school leaders in a district-wide team, and we've been meeting with TNTP this summer to look at our the landscape analysis that they did and so forth, and setting goals. So we are able to set the interim goals for ourselves, but the end goal is set by the state.
understood? And then with respect to the pre-K program, you had mentioned that there was the after-school program as part of the update. So is that in-house in terms of that's offered by the district, or is that one of our CPPI partners like the YMCA that's offering the program?
So the pre-K after-school programs that we offer in-house. We do partner with a variety of different partners, inclusion sports, we've had yoga, we've had Artful Life, we've had lots of different partners helping with that. And we run those on site at every building where we have a pre-K program.
Great.
I might just add that it is offered on a sliding scale. We want to make sure that it's accessible to all families.
Thank you. That was actually going to be my next question. I'm going to move to licensure-based questions. So, Steve, Dr. Strick appreciated the updates on kind of where we're at with staffing. And it's good to know that we have some increases in the staff we were able to retain. We had a good amount of folks that were on waivers, emergency licenses, et cetera. So I'm just curious, how are we getting information out to our staff about the new opportunities for alternative licensure, the waiving of certain testing requirements? Have we seen folks been reaching out about those opportunities? Like, what is the strategy there? Because we know that that's one of the challenges with some of our newer folks that we've hired over the last 4 years. So just wanted to hear a little bit more about that.
Jill, do you want to respond to that question about reaching out to staff about alternative licensure, folks that are on waivers, how we're keeping them informed about how to get recertified? Or to get certified, not recertified. But.
Absolutely. So they all get messaging from me right away when they get hired about the process. And it's a process that I work with the principals with in terms of preparing for the license, for the waivers and what they need. But with our work with RTAP and other work with pipelines, we're working to kind of really build a network of support that would really support all of our teachers in becoming licensed over time. But each one kind of has a different pathway, so to speak, because it's sometimes they're enrolled in a program, sometimes they're not, and need to maybe consider that. It depends on which licensure they're trying to pursue and that sort of thing. So we still have the partnership with Salem State University and the work that we started last year with that. Is that answering your question?
It does.
Okay.
I think my thinking on this, Dr. Zreik, is it would be helpful for the committee to just get an understanding of where we're at, just with respect to the data on the number of folks that are on waivers or are pursuing one of the alternative licensure tracks.
Yeah.
The state released a series of some of those alternatives, but they're still working on some of the other areas. So it would be good to know if there are gaps that we can identify for the state to try to, I think, urge them to consider those tracks to be taken up a little bit sooner. I'm thinking about multilingual education. That's one area that the state really hasn't touched too much. So I just think it would be great to think about, like, anyone who, again, might have a waiver that had to shift over from positions, and how do we, make a compelling case to DESE that they really need to turn their attention to these areas so that we can retain staff within the district.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If I could just make a comment that I think what I've learned, for the last 3 years in working on this is the communication early up front in their initial hire is really key, because and fortunately I feel like in my office we now have more capacity to be able to stay on top of that. Because the staffing turnover was so high the last 2 years, it was really hard to stay on top of that. So I think unfortunately we did miss the opportunity to support people in a way that we maybe could have back then. But I feel like we learned a lot now. Our principals are more attuned to it. At the end of the year last year, we talked with school leaders about bringing this conversation into their feedback conversations with the educators instead of treating it like a separate thing that's more of a compliance thing. So I think there's more attention to that so that we can be clear on who really does have a viable pathway to become licensed and be able to support them with that. That's our goal.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Member Cornell.
I also have a couple of questions. For Steve, I'm just wondering if we can get Taylor to come back in here. I don't know what the appropriate timeline would be, but for her to give us a follow-up on the Student Voice Project, I'd like to close the loop and just sort of see where those student voices are now. They propose, I'm really concerned about the Bates bathrooms. That was a great
were in them today.
presentation. How'd it go?
It looked good right now. And then we
Okay.
saw some signage in there that was from the students about how to treat the bathroom.
Excellent.
So,
But yeah, I'd love to have her come in and give us an update, maybe like halfway through the school year, just so we could see where students are. For everybody, all the people tuning in at home, Steve, could you explain why Carleton doesn't have a digital learning specialist and all the other schools do, just to give a sense of
Yeah, it was
why that would be the case?
Well, I think the over time, I mean, our initial plan was that we were going to phase this in over time. And so in the initial plan, it was always that Carleton was going to be, and Mark, you can jump in at any point, that we were going to phase in slowly and that Carleton was going to be the last part of it. Part of our thinking is that, Carleton, when you look at resources, Carleton does have more resources per student than any of the other elementary schools. And so, we do feel an urgency that all kids get access to it, but we wanted to do the right way, and we felt like Carleton had other resources that it could, they have extra specialists as part of their, their learning model there. They have, extra support staff, so that was part of the decision. But it is our intention that every school have access to it eventually. So,
Great.
Mark, I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. I just didn't want to leave that out there
Sure.
hanging, so
Yep.
folks wouldn't sort of wonder why. For Elizabeth, the Salem Food Policy Council and the Salem Pantry and other organizations that are providing healthy and affordable or free food to people in our community are worried about, cuts to federal funding. And so I think it would be great if you could just remind us and folks watching about sort of how we're feeding all of these kids. We feed a lot of kids, kind of where those dollars come from. I think that would be great for us to be able to communicate to people and just for folks to know.
Yes, our food program is fully funded using state and federal funds, primarily federal funds. So our staff, our food costs, they do not appear on our general fund at all. It is a fully reimbursable model. And actually, I'm glad you asked because I realized I forgot to mention that our Summer Eats program, which is also fully funded by federal dollars, we have a few more days of serving meals. Our programs wrap up on the 22nd. And so far this summer, we've served 27,451 meals, not including dinner tonight. So we are providing a lot of food to the community, and it is something that we are watching very closely to see what will happen with the federal government and our funds for student meals. So thank you for asking.
Can I just ask one more question? This is actually for Jen. Sorry, because you're sitting. But you said we're not. I don't know if this is new, but doing citywide screening for kids 3 to 5, and so I'm just curious about if this causes any kind of logistical problems, and if it's not a problem, just sort of how it's done with folks like moving around from school to school.
So it's part of Child Find. So we before COVID, we offered screenings once a year, and what that did is looked at children's readiness skills, if they might need to be referred to special ed or other services in the city. During COVID, that went away, and we're starting to bring that back. So this past year we did 2 rounds of screenings, and this year we're hoping to do 3. Out of those screenings, we were able to identify students that maybe needed a little bit more school readiness skills. We focused on play, SEL, speech, language, fine motor, and gross motor skills, and we were able to have some intervention groups. We're hoping to expand that intervention group. We're planning on doing 3 rounds of that this year. So students can join an intervention group from 4 to 6 weeks, and at the end of that 4 to 6 weeks, if we don't see improvement, then we were referring them to a special ed evaluation.
Okay. So do the specialists who are working with those students, are they sort of driving from school to school, or just all of that stuff
So
is
it's available
in-house?
citywide, and it happens after school. So
Thank
it might
you.
be like
Okay.
4 to 6 or 6 to 7:30, and it's a wide variety of specialists that do the intervention. So it might be an OT, it might be a special ed teacher, it might be a speech therapist. So they do like stations, and each station focuses on one skill that a student may need.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
If you can stay, actually.
Sure.
Do anything further question? I just have a follow-up question. I was going to ask about the screening as well. So is that open to any child and family in the city? It's not just in the pre-K partnership or in
It's
ECC?
open to every student 3 to 5 in the city of Salem. So they only have to just bring one proof of residency, whether that be a bill, a license for the parent or guardian, and then we do a screening. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. We do a quick history about the student, any concerns the parent may have, and then we do a quick screening around different skills.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Any further updates?
Just two final things. Tomorrow night is the not tomorrow night. Wednesday night is the back to school bash. No, I'll be there alone. The weather's going to be beautiful both nights, but it is Wednesday night, 4 to 8 at Saltonstall School. We hope to see you there, partnering with the Salem Teachers Union, with police, fire, the city of Salem. So it's always a great event, so hope to see some of you there. And the last thing I meant to put on the slide, but it is in the news quite a bit, is the committee does have to work on the competency determination again for the school district. We made a policy change this spring, but there have been updates to the requirements the Department of Ed is requiring districts to include in their policy. It has to be a policy. I know, I know that how much the policy team loves shifts in the policies, but this is required that it be voted on by the school committee, and we have till December 31st to make those changes. So that is an important step that we're going to, a vote that the school committee has to take before the end of this calendar year. So I just want to preview you all to that. And with that, turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Is there any finance and operations report update besides what you've?
No report this evening.
Okay. We've already made a report, a pretty substantial one, so thank you. Any reports from the subcommittees? Yep. Member Miranda.
Thank you. The Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee met at the beginning of August, and we took a look at the updated facility rental forms and provided some feedback. The document was created by the facilities team, and I think during that subcommittee it was clear to read and for those that apply to rent space in our schools. And Elizabeth, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add onto that.
Just that we modeled that one page after the Framingham Public Schools template for communicating their facility rental.
Perfect. That's all.
Any other subcommittees? No. We have no motions or resolutions for this evening. Are there any announcements from committee members? Seeing none. Oh, yep, Member Miranda.
Sorry. August 10th, I think it was, we received a letter about the Hall of Fame, and I just wanted to ask if I don't know if anybody can clarify, like,
Speak to it.
what our role is.
I can speak to it. Yeah, we did receive a letter about including teams for consideration for the Sports Hall of Fame or the Athletic Hall of Fame, and that was referred to the Hall of Fame committee, and they had a meeting on last Thursday night. And my understanding is that they are very interested in being inclusive of teams, which is a very common practice for Hall of Fames. They just they needed more time to officially vote on it, and then it'll come back to I guess the policy subcommittee is where it went before. But back to the policy. All roads lead to policy, and but my sense is in talking to the policy subcommittee chair that there's support for that, but we wanted to go to the Hall of Fame committee first, and there seems to be universal support for being inclusive of teams, and we communicated back to the person that sent us the email.
Awesome. The process was kind of what I was trying to figure out, what our role is there. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Any further announcements? Seeing none. Member Cruz.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Under discussion. Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody needs to stay.